talking to you. Are you thinking about buying biotech stocks right now because they seem like they're just on a rocket ship to the moon? We are going to talk about that today. Hi, I'm Kate Stalter, and over the years as a financial advisor, I've had a lot of people come in with a thesis that a certain sector or industry would be a good bet, and sometimes that opinion is based on a hunch, something they heard in the news, some kind of desire to get in early on something that they are sure is just going to make them rich beyond belief. Okay, I'm probably exaggerating that a little bit. But they do think that it's a sure bet whenever they come in with a thesis like this, an idea. Now, sometimes these ideas really make no sense, like the idea that consumer staples will be a winner because that sector contains toilet paper. And I know I'm sitting here at the end of May, that moment in time has passed, but come on, it's still a weird sort of funny thing. And people really did believe that it would be a good investment. People have these hunches about gold, cannabis, crypto, any number of things really, and they don't always work out so well. Here's the chart for the cannabis ETF MJ. No subtlety with that ticker, huh? Now this is just an example, and I had a lot of clients who wanted to take a flyer on this industry back when it was all the rage, 2018, 2019, states were legalizing cannabis. Now, obviously, for reasons we all understand, that has ground to a halt in 2020. But in addition to the current situation, the industry itself has run into a lot of other problems. And as you see, the stocks didn't take off like people had hoped. Doesn't mean they won't, but they have not as of yet. So anybody with that thesis hasn't worked out as of now. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 sectors so we can see where things actually stand without having to resort to opinions and hunches.
So over here, you see the name of each of the sectors: communications, services, that includes telecom, a number of industries like that, consumer discretionary, that includes the kind of retail that you might set aside and not spend money, say if you are furloughed, if you're out of a job, just trying to budget. Consumer staples, yes, that's the proverbial toilet paper, shampoo, toothpaste, all the stuff that you are going to buy regardless of what the economy is doing. Okay, energy, oil and gas, and so forth, financials, banks, that's pretty obvious, healthcare, which includes biotech. So let's take a look here. So you do notice healthcare is one of those that's up 10.12%, and you see telecom and so forth, they're up about 0.3%. You do see the others are down for the year. This is the year-to-date, by the way. I prefer to look at year-to-date rather than the daily change because you can get a lot of fluctuations in stock price day-to-day, and the year-to-date just is a better way to get a long-term view. I also like to look at those on a chart, and we will look at the biotech industry on a chart here in just a minute. Just want to give you the big picture for what some of the sectors are doing. You do see information technology, another one, up 13%. So let's think about this for a minute. If you have telecom, well, sure, those kind of services are being used widely right now. Healthcare, you've got the biotech, a lot of speculation regarding a vaccine, a cure for COVID-19. Infotech, well, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, Google, all of these companies are enjoying a lot of use right now. So it really kind of makes sense, doesn't it, that all the other sectors are in a slump right now, along with the rest of the economy, and you're seeing the ones that kind of intuitively make some sense are up right now. Now, that doesn't mean that these hunches are always correct, and I'm going to dive into that next. So here's the S&P Biotech ETF. The ticker is SBI. We're looking at this on a daily chart, and you can see a lot of the volatility, okay, that has begun since the COVID-19 pandemic and all the attendant lockdowns and so forth got underway. What we're looking at here is really a play on a vaccine or a cure. And all these ETFs are driven primarily by the top holdings, by weighting. So in other words, if something has a much higher weighting, it's going to have a bigger effect on what happens in the ETF itself. So the top stocks in here by market cap are Regeneron, and there's the ticker for that one. And you see that that one did fall down today. I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 26th, after the market has closed. And this rose higher in here on hopes for a potential antibody cocktail. And it's aiming toward the first human tests next month. And they're also discussing ramping up production. Obviously, investors were disappointed again today, or maybe just lost a little bit of enthusiasm, but that's what's happening there. Here's one that's been in the news a lot, Moderna, mRNA, and you see a big drop down today after a big gap up recently. This is also a vaccine play, and there's some buzz right now that a vaccine could be ready for distribution this year. Who knows? Not getting into all the politics, conspiracy theories surrounding all that, so on and so forth. Just showing you what I'm seeing on the chart here. Here is another one. GILD, Gilead Sciences, same thing, rallied today, pulled back. Now, this is remdesivir. I may be pronouncing that wrong, remdesivir. There was some news that it was reducing the recovery time for COVID-19 patients. That's a good thing. But if you go over here, I was curious to see Gilead on a monthly chart. Actually, that's a weekly. Here we go over on a monthly. You see here that it really is not even clearing its 2018 highs over here. It's really hitting some resistance over here on a 2.5-year high. Never mind what we were seeing back here in 2015. So that's June 2015, about 5 years ago. Still hitting some resistance over here from January 2018. So if we go back to the chart for the Biotech ETF, and let's pull that up on a daily, you really do see all this volatility in here. A lot of gaps up. You do see some gaps down. Just a lot of big price swings in here recently, as opposed to something that trades in a much more smooth fashion. And when you're placing a sector or industry bet, like I talked about earlier, maybe consumer staples, crypto, and right now, obviously, we're focusing on biotech, you're betting on a thesis. But in some of these cases, you really are playing with fire because your hunch doesn't mean you are correct. Expert opinions, analyst forecasts don't mean you're correct. And right now, we're seeing expert opinions and analyst forecasts for everything all over the map. Future predictions just don't seem like they're worth anything at this moment because things are changing so quickly. So that's a drill down into why I'm not a fan of sector bets for retirement portfolios. It's often not what you think. And weak and volatile performers can drag down the entire sector or turn around your bet in a heartbeat when the thing that you thought was going to happen does not happen. So if you want to take a flyer, I'm still not a fan of biotech, never have been, and for just the reasons that it's volatile. I mean, a clinical trial can plunge a stock lower in a heartbeat. And it's just not a place even for your play money where you bet on stocks just a little bit outside your retirement portfolio. I really don't like biotech even for that. Okay, to wrap up today, I want to just quickly go through some of the stocks here in the biotech sector. Here's one right here. You see losses estimated going forward. Here's another one that has some, this one right here, quite a bit of volatility, BioMarin. Again, earnings estimates all over the place right here. A couple, Biogen. Now, this is one of the biggest ones in the industry. They do have some treatments for autoimmune and other disorders, but then you do see right over here where I'm pointing to in all of these, you do notice the earnings estimates. Sometimes they're significantly up, sometimes they're estimates for losses. What does that remind you of? Hollywood blockbuster movies. You've heard the term blockbuster drugs, and it's a very similar business model in some ways. And again, you see erratic trading over here, then all of a sudden this really changed. CSL Limited, you do see that this one just changed dramatically after some fairly orderly trading. These little gaps up, gaps down, that's a foreign stock. Amgen, this is one of the biggest biotechs. Horizon Therapeutics over here, again, you see a run up over here, some erratic earnings estimates. Here's one of the things as we kind of continue to cycle through. I'm actually going to pause this right now on something called Neurocrine Biosciences. And you see right here to treat neurological, endocrine, and psychiatric disorders. Now, I don't know anything about this company in specific. I can't tell you that. But I do know that one thing that's happening right now in the biotech industry that could throw off projections is that anything not on the top burner having to do with, say, cancer treatment, that's always going to be a major area of investment and research, or obviously COVID-19. Anything not having to do with that, companies are having trouble finding people for clinical trials. The hospitals just don't have the beds for it right now. That is a real problem. So even if your thesis about the whole sector's correct, even for something like a Moderna, let's see, what is that ticker here? MOD, let's see, ERNA. Yeah, mRNA is the ticker. Even if you have something like a Moderna that is in the news that you feel like, wow, this is super promising, look what happened here today. Even the slightest bit of news reporting, disappointment, something that contradicts the main thesis, that can send any one of these stocks lower, okay? So, thank you for watching today. I hope you found this helpful. And I'm going to do a few looks at some of the indexes going forward and how those are working. So thanks again. Look forward to seeing you next time.